Could Amari Cooper be on his way to Kansas City? We got some new intel to discuss about the Kansas City Chiefs potentially signing the former Pro Bowler. Tyler Jones, your fearless leader, here with you. Thanks for joining us here on the Kansas City Chiefs Report. Before we tell you the latest on Cooper, folks, I want you to be aware of a challenge that has been dealt to us by our friends or frenemies, whatever you want to call them, over at the Raiders Report, Mitchell Renz and Jeremy Chuggs. They were talking some smack. They said, hey, things have gotten kind of quiet over in the Chiefs' kingdom. They're kind of sleeping during this offseason right now. Not a lot of noise being made. And I said, Mitch, Chuggs, you guys are frauds. The Chiefs' kingdom is going to stand up, and they're going to be loud and clear. Back me up on this, folks. They said we couldn't get 1,000 likes on today's video. Prove them wrong. Spam C in the comments section. F Mitch. F Chuggs. Show them who's boss, and we'll get started with this edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report. Bleacher Report NFL insider Kirk Benkert has named Kansas City as the top landing spot for free agent wide receiver Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper coming off of a down year as he was traded from the Cleveland Browns to the Buffalo Bills prior to the trade deadline, and the Bills were pretty excited. They thought he would come in right away and be one of their top receivers, and it didn't necessarily work out. He is still available in free agency at this point, has not signed with a team just yet, but according to Bleacher Report, Kansas City, in all likelihood, could be the destination that he ends up. Here's more from Bleacher Report. The Chiefs have a lot of receiver depth, but the Chiefs don't really have a vet receiver right now. They have Juju Smith-Schuster, but he doesn't really play the same position Amari Cooper does. Juju is more of a slot guy, where Amari is more of an X. You have Rashee Rice coming back from his knee injury. Looks like he's doing pretty well. But do you want to put the mileage on his early or pick up a guy like Amari Cooper that can fill in, get the first downs, make some catches here and there, and understand the offense? Now, I'll say this. I don't hate this idea at all to bring in Amari Cooper. But the truth of the matter is this, folks. You don't need him. It is one of those deals. I say this all the time. It is a luxury, not a necessity when it comes to Amari Cooper here. Would he make this receiving core and this offense better? Of course. Absolutely he would. But I think that this Chiefs receiving core is in pretty good shape. Now, the Chiefs, they've looked at Amari Cooper before. They very well could have traded for him just last season, but they've passed on him. This is something they've examined. There was a lot of talk at the trade deadline that the Chiefs were going to go for Amari Cooper. Ultimately, they did not. He ended up in Buffalo. They went with DeAndre Hopkins. So they know as good as anybody whether they would feel like Amari Cooper would be a good fit for them, and if they should pursue that based on their track record of how they've examined this situation before. Amari Cooper, he did have a bit of a down year last year. But history tells us that Patrick Mahomes gets the absolute most out of his wide receivers. We've seen that time and time again. And while I don't think that Amari Cooper is ever going to be a Pro Bowl type receiver again, I think that playing in this offense with Patrick Mahomes and these receivers, he could very well get back on track and be an impact player for Kansas City if they decided to pursue him. So let's ask you, put your GM hat on now. Let us know on our pinned comment today. Should the Chiefs sign Amari Cooper? Type S for sign, P for pass. Way in the comment section. Tell me what you think. Folks, want to make sure you're subscribed to the Kansas City Chiefs Report as we bring you daily news and rumors, weekly live shows on Tuesdays. We also have breaking news, Q&A mailbags, your one-stop shop for all things Kansas City Chiefs. It may be the offseason, but there is no offseason here on the Kansas City Chiefs Report. Subscribe now. Lock us in. Let's get at least 20 subs off today's video. Best part about it, 100% free. Doesn't cost you a thing. YouTube.com/ChiefsTV to subscribe now. Join the family. You'll be glad you did. More on Amari Cooper, a 5-time Pro Bowler as recently as 2023. Began his career with the Raiders, then went on to the Dallas Cowboys. And what was interesting was when he departed Dallas, a lot of people thought that his best days were behind him. Jerry Jones included. And they did not really get much for Amari Cooper when they traded for him. And then he had a career resurgence in Cleveland. And now, after a disappointing run in Buffalo, he finds himself in a similar situation to what he was in when he left Dallas, where people are saying that he's not going to make that comeback. And I think two things can be true here with Amari Cooper. You are not going to get Pro Bowl Amari Cooper, but that's okay. But I think that working with Mahomes in this offense, he can still add value and still be a very good receiver and be a huge piece and offer something different to this Kansas City Chiefs offense that they don't have with the receivers that are there with the position he could potentially play here. You look at his numbers. Even though last year was a down year, you don't have to go back too far to see when Amari Cooper was playing really well. 2023 had over 1,200 yards, 5 touchdowns, 17.4 yards, a reception off of 72 catches. The year prior to that, 1,160 yards, close to 15 yards of reception, 9 touchdowns. He was really good. So for me, what I'm looking at when I see those numbers here, look at those 4 years. If the Chiefs got the 2021 version, his last year in Dallas, when people were giving up on him, 865 yards and 8 touchdowns, I would be thrilled. I think that would be great for Amari Cooper if they could make that happen. So what do the numbers look like potentially? Well, the Chiefs would have to find some money, but there are ways to find said money. When you talk about extensions and potential cuts and trades and all that, you can find the cash. It wouldn't be cheap. Spotrac's valuing him at about a 2-year, $37.88 million deal. And that does seem like a lot of money. That does seem high for a guy coming off of just a season with 500 receiving yards. But what I will say, though, is I think everyone anticipated that by now, Amari Cooper was going to have a contract that he would be playing somewhere at this point, but that has not happened. And as we get closer to training camp, and while we're still waiting to see where Amari Cooper goes, the longer that he's out there, then the less that price tag is going to be. His price is going to continue to fall as more teams are spending money and don't have the cap space to pay that type of money that Amari Cooper may have been looking for. So the Chiefs could enter the picture here eventually based on where Amari Cooper's asking price ultimately ends up. And I think the longer this goes, the more that helps Kansas City if they decide they want to go ahead and pursue Amari Cooper there. Sound off. Who is a player the Kansas City Chiefs should sign, whether it's Amari Cooper or somebody else that's out there in free agency? Give me a name that you would like to see end up in Kansas City. Tell us in the comments section below. The 4th of July is almost here, and we have Chiefs 4th of July shirts on sale now at chatsports.com/ChiefsUSA. No better way to support your favorite team and support this great country than by getting one of these fantastic shirts. We have all sorts of different shapes and sizes available. Also, other Chiefs merchandise at that same link. Go see for yourself now. Chatsports.com/ChiefsUSA to get yours today. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. That's chatsports.com/ChiefsUSA. Now, kind of going back to what we talked about in the beginning of today's show, one of the things I said was that I like this receiving core. And yes, you will take Amari Cooper, and you will find a spot for Amari Cooper. But there are a lot of people on the outside that are doubting this receiving core, that don't think that these guys can get the job done, that they don't have the pieces to do so. And I beg to differ. I think this group is going to surprise some people. Xavier Worthy, I thought, did a really good job in the second half of last season. Hollywood's got nowhere to go but up from the injury he had. Rashee Rice, getting him healthy, I think he could be a top 10 receiver in this league. And we haven't even talked about the rookie Jalen Royals here. Juju's involved. I like this group from top to bottom here. And two things here. Yes, Amari Cooper can have a role within this receiving core, but it's not something that you have to have either. So if the Chiefs sign Amari Cooper, that's fantastic. Love it. Let's get to work and see what he can do. If they don't, I think they're going to just be fine. They're going to be just fine either way. Thanks for watching. If you made it to the end of today's video, that means you are a real one, a real Chiefs fan. Spam real one in the comments section. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.